The world's in a climate emergency. You know that. That's why you're here today. It should not come as a surprise. The science of climate change has been quite clear for 50 or more years. Now, there has been some progress, and I think it's important to acknowledge it, and I want to mention three things that I particularly am pleased about, one of which my colleague Caroline Levine mentioned Cornell's decision to divest from fossil fuels. The Cornell trustees took that action. President Pollock and Bob Harris, the then chair of the board, pushed that through the board back in May of 2020. They did so at a time when they could easily have ducked under cover. COVID was rampant. The university, the community was distracted. They could have ducked. They didn't. They showed real leadership, and I think we should thank them and acknowledge Cornell for that. Secondly, the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act of 2019 from 5 years ago. As Anna Kellis said, it is the most progressive legislation of any state in the country in terms of climate change. If we carry through with it, it will set an example to the world of what the world needs to do to address climate change. I'm one of the 22 members of the Climate Action Council, which was the commission charged by law with developing the blueprint to implement that plan. We had to do it by law by December of 2022. We did. We have a great plan, a great blueprint that if it's followed through on will be wonderful for New York and will meaningfully address climate change. Of the 22 of us on the commission, there's a 19-3 vote in favor. I will point out that a majority of the Hochul administration's cabinet members also serve on that Climate Action Council, and every single one of them voted for it. So the Hochul administration was there on it. I'll come back to that in a minute. I also want to acknowledge that President Biden made what I'm told is a politically tough decision back in January. The United States is the world's largest exporter of liquefied natural gas. It was illegal to export LNG from the U.S. until 2016. We're now the world's largest exporter. Gas industry wants to keep doing that. It's exporting fracked gas to the rest of the world. It's terrible for the climate change. That's what my research shows. Biden took the step to pause it in part because of my research. Now, all three of those examples, these positive examples all happened because of large action by people like you. In fact, many of you were involved in many of those things. So we can make a difference when we act in concert, and I applaud that. Now, that's progress. I also want to say that we're not moving fast enough, and there's too much delay, too many things are not getting done. On the Climate Action Council, on the state climate law, we have a great plan passed 16 months ago. Is the state actually working to implement it? Not in any real fast way. The largest emissions from our state are the fossil fuels we use to heat our homes and our commercial buildings. We need to get rid of that 100-foot rule for gas hookups that Anna Kella mentioned. Our plan says that has to be done, and yet the Assembly has not yet acted on it. The HEAT Act is the key to that. It has to be done. And the state has to take other actions as well. I also want to single out Cornell, and again, I work for Cornell. I love Cornell. Cornell did a great job on divestment. Cornell is not doing a good job on climate action, and I want to call them out, and I want people to know that so we can pressure Cornell. Now, back in 2016, Cornell promised to come up with a carbon neutral campus by 2035. They promised to try some actions. They promised to have a public review and transparency of that plan with a public review in 2021, 3 years ago. That hasn't happened. I don't think we're on target to meet that goal at all. I don't think the university is working particularly hard at it. We also, in 2016, the university promised to be progressive in its greenhouse gas accounting, take possession of the methane emissions that occur with our fracked shale gas that we import from Pennsylvania to heat our campus and heat our communities. The university did that for about a year or so, and then they buried it, they backtracked it. It's actually state law now, it's part of the climate law, but Cornell has backtracked on that. Meanwhile, our campus has grown, we're using more natural gas, our commuting is definitely up. They've changed the parking policies to encourage students to actually drive to campus just for a class. That's a terrible idea. So, I think Cornell is way behind on climate commitments. Good promises made. I think we need to hold their feet to the fire. So I'm glad you're all here today. I believe that with commitment, we can solve the climate crisis. We can do so in this decade that needs to be done. Cornell can set an example. The state can set an example. Tompkins County can set an example. And I'm so proud to be part of this community working with you all to make that happen. Thank you.